Welcome back to the Pro Football Pod. We got the Week 1 recap. Aaron Rodgers has already ruined the Jets season, so Dolphins fans are feeling pretty good right about now. How you boys looking after Week 1?
Shit, can't complain.
Feeling good.
Any sweeps across the fantasy? I know that Justin didn't because I think I might have beat you in one of them.
If CJ Mosley puts up 27 individual points in this game tonight, I have a strong chance, but that's what it's going to take.
All right.
Gotta love the defensive players.
Other than that, I'm looking at going 2-1 across my
2-1's not bad. I've only got one loss as well. I played the number one scorer in one of my leagues, so that happens. You know, he put up 180. I put up 130.
That's what we like to see.
I guess. So any takeaways from Week 1? Anything you guys noticed right away? There's definitely some teams that we were kind of high on that we're starting to question a little bit. What you guys got for me?
I noticed in the 1 o'clock games, it was just real dry. Like to start the season off, it was just real slow going. Not much action for fantasy, especially.
I got the ticket this year, and I was looking at all the games, and I was like, Browns, Bengals, probably two potential playoff teams. Probably should be the best game of the
Weather, you gotta take into the weather though. But
maybe,
like it is
football.
football.
It was raining, but it wasn't raining. It
I
wasn't
know,
like
I feel
it was.
You.
Like,
it's football. They should be out there playing. Like Deshaun was able to play. You know, the Browns looked all right. So like the Bengals should have been able to hold their own. But there is like statistics on the Bengals not being able to perform in the first game of the season, as well as being bad against the Browns. So you just have to take those
always
into
start
consideration.
slow. I mean, Joe Burrow has yet to go through like an actual training camp because the year he got drafted, COVID.
That's so true. Yeah.
And then he was dealing with the ACL injury. And then last year, I think he was dealing with like an appendectomy. And so, like, the dude
now
literally,
he's
missed. And then he had the calf this year. So they always start slow. But it's one of those things to where, yeah, enjoy it, Cleveland. But in the end, like, I think the Bengals still end up with the last laugh. And historically in his career so far, Joe Burrow just does not play well in Cleveland. So, I mean, it's one of those things, too, but it's also Week 1, so it's either Bengals or they suck again and their season's over, or they'll be okay and go to the Super Bowl.
Deshaun Watson made it look like the Browns have a capable offense. He was capable of throwing the ball. They were running the ball well. Chubb didn't have any touchdowns, which is upsetting for some of us, but that's not their team. Like looked like it was on the way to being able to, if they improve from here on out, it's going to be a pretty hard team to beat at this point. Top waiver wire pickups for Week 2. I want to get right into it. I think that we all knew that J.K. Dobbins going down was a possibility. And if you're one of the guys that has that problem, where you had him rostered, you need him.
I want to point at that guy over there, Justin. You've been preaching for everyone to get J.K. Dobbins.
Have I?
Yeah,
it
was one of your like my guys, you know.
In a non PPR, I liked him. In a half PPR,
I liked him too.
But I just didn't like. I didn't have to draft him where he was being drafted. I felt like he was overdrafted in every draft I had, and that's why I let him slide. I think that to replace him, you've got to look a couple places now. Kenneth Gainwell should not be available in any of your leagues. But if some joker left that guy out there because DeAndre Swift, then you have to pick this guy up. Other running backs, my big pickup this week, I think that Kareem Hunt might get signed before this podcast goes live.
You think to the Ravens?
I think the Ravens sign him before we can even put this out here. It's not smart. I mean, they've already played in the division against the guy. He can run the ball. He can receive the ball. He's a total complete back. They need him. They already know they've lost their number one back for a whole season.
I wouldn't pick him up, though, just because it seems like the Ravens' backfield has a curse on it. Like, there's something going on back there.
That's true. I mean, maybe it's the training
When's the last time you saw
I don't
Ravens
know if
running
the
back
Ravens
finish
are
the season?
panicking that much because they trust Gus Bus. Like,
They got
handy, capable number 2 guy. And Justice Hill, I mean, 9 carries for 8 yards, but ended up with 2 touchdowns.
Who did the Ravens play yesterday?
The Texans.
And they struggled against the rookie quarterback Texans. I mean, they put up only like 20-something
CJ
points.
Stroud looked pretty solid in his debut versus that
He looked
solid
scared.
Ravens
They
defense.
also
Oh,
He
I'll
was
say
running
that.
for his life almost every
Yes.
play.
And
But
he made good decisions. He didn't throw too many picks. Like, I'm not
it
trying to
looked like
come down hard on him.
It looked like they were playing a D'Amico Ryans defense on the other side, though. Like,
They
that's
were.
my thing. And
They
so
were.
it's one of those to where if the offense starts clicking on that side and they're able to put points on the board, I think the Texans are going to be one of those teams that end up keeping a lot of games closer than teams would like. And so because of that, they're going to end up sneaking a couple big wins this year, I think. Like, kind of something of what the Colts did with the Chiefs last year. Just a few things go their way and they're going to steal one just because of how aggressive that defense looks.
It's still hard for me to want to invest too much into their offense from a fantasy standpoint because CJ Stroud needs to take so many huge steps from what he was capable of yesterday to be able to be a top 10 and really produce week in, week out. Now, I think that they've got two young receivers that look pretty good. Nico Collins, I can't remember the other guy's name, but I want to say
the rookie.
Tank Dell.
Tank Dell.
Tank Dell.
And they also
So,
have
I mean,
Mechie.
there's some opportunity there to keep an eye on, but I think Justin put it right. Against the Ravens, you're not really expecting to see the offense being able to flourish at all. They're going to have a lot easier matchups, and we can see what they do there. What else you guys got, though, besides like trying to fill that?
The Ravens
that
also
hole?
have Latavius Murray, so that dude was a back a few years ago.
I think that if I was going to get any of the three backs that they have, Gus Edwards, Justice Hill, or Latavius Murray, I'm going Gus Edwards. Absolutely. Like, that's just... Gus Edwards is the easy, safe pick. Justice Hill's going to score more touchdowns, most likely, but Gus Edwards is going to receive the ball. He does both. He's a good back. I think Latavius Murray is a veteran, and he's been able to maintain this like fantasy relevance, but the Ravens aren't the type of team, I think, for what he does really well. I think he needs the volume to be able to do it, and they won't give that to him.
Mm.
Rodgers is currently being evaluated with x-rays on his ankle.
That's a smart thing for them to do. Now, Kyron Williams made a lot of Cam Akers owners very upset yesterday. He got more carries, he got more targets, he got more everything than Cam Akers, and it makes it look like... Now, this could be just because of it being the first week, and maybe Cam Akers is still a huge part of this team, but this week they game planned Kyron Williams. Who knows? I think that Kyron Williams needs to be rostered in every single league. He just had way too much looks to not have him. Do you guys have any other running backs or anybody like that?
It's just funny how it always happens week one. Like that secondary back on a team pops off for fantasy, and nobody ever sees it coming.
Well, he was more effective. Like Cam Akers had 22 carries to where Kyron only had 15, but Kyron got 52 yards out of his, whereas Cam got 29 at 1.3 yards a carry.
And the target difference...
He got a touchdown, so that helped you. But yeah, Kyron got 2 targets, no receptions, but he was still at least targeted, whereas Cam wasn't targeted once.
Yeah.
So Kyron is the guy out of the two that you want, because I don't see Cam being anything more than what he showed you versus the Seahawks. Like, he just hasn't been as effective. His yards per carry has been way down, and it's just he's not as explosive.
Now, Justin, yesterday, the 4:00 games, we got to see Joshua Kelly look like a complete monster. We got to see him running the ball. He got a touchdown. He got a couple of decent gains. Would you say that he was working against a defense that was like Swiss cheese against the run? Or does that have a lot? Because we know that the highest paid offensive line in football is the Chargers. So they should be the best offensive line in football. They're all getting the most money. Do you think that it has more to do with the line or who they were playing?
I think a lot of it, give your hat to Kellen Moore on that too, the new offensive coordinator from them coming from Dallas. Because look at how Kellen Moore was able to make multiple backs effective, fantasy relevant on his teams in Dallas, especially last year with Zeke and Pollard. I mean, so that's where I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's the offensive line's been together another year, so they've all been able to gel a little more. I think it's Kellen's running scheme that he's brought into him to open up the play action passing. And I think as well, the Dolphins' run D did look very suspect. Now, it was the whole Vic Fangio bend don't break, but there was just too many explosive plays that they allowed, especially in the running game.
Yep.
And so for me there, I think it's a mixture of just all of that to where as far as like a fantasy guy, it's hard to judge that for week 1 because you don't have a sample size. But if you're looking at something like that for week 6, week 7, you're salivating at that because it doesn't matter which running back I start. This defense is going to allow 200 yards of rushing, which is what happened. I mean, Herbert wasn't really
230.
forced to have
That's
to do
ridiculous.
much because they were averaging 7 yards a carry.
We haven't heard 234 yards rushing since Latavius Murray for the Chargers. Like, I'm sorry, not Latavius Murray.
I was about to say, I just mentioned him.
LaDainian Tomlinson. The
Yeah.
LT thing
Yeah.
messed me up. We know that they're going to continue to run the ball. I think that a player that a lot of people aren't talking about is Joshua Kelly because he's a backup to a premier back that receives the ball so well. He obviously is not going to be as valuable as whoever backs up J.K. Dobbins. That guy is the most valuable pickup this week, whoever's going to take over the Ravens offense. But I think that Joshua Kelly, especially with the ankle injury that Eckler's running, is a sneaky pickup. I think that he's a guy that might even be there after the waiver wires are over, someone that you might be able to pick up late, as long as all your other teammates aren't paying attention.
Does that scare you for like Eckler's value going forward? Does it look
Not
like they
even a little.
Does it look
Eckler
like they're
looked
not
like-
gonna pound him?
Well, ever since Melvin Gordon was there, Eckler's never been a high volume guy. He's been a high efficiency guy. He never got the most carries and the most targets in a season, but he's always had the most touchdowns and the most in other categories because he's just super efficient when he does get the ball. The guy looks like a fucking thumb. Like he's just so big and compact. He's so hard to stop. He's my favorite running back. There was no way I was going to get him in any league this year because I don't want to take running back that high.
Over C-Mac.
For me, it's
He's my
something to
favorite
just
running back.
keep an eye on with Josh Kelly simply because if it keeps up to where he matches Eckler in the amount of carries they have, then because they both had 16 carries. So for me, it almost makes him flex worthy down the stretch. If it's able to continue to where they're letting him kind of pound that rock in between the 20s and just allowing Eckler to be more of that receiving back and, looking at the Zeke and Pollard thing like we were talking about with Kellen Moore. He's looking at Josh Kelly and Eckler over here as his Zeke and Pollard. It's just Eckler's a much, much more effective Tony Pollard and Josh Kelly's just a younger version of what Zeke was giving you.
So I want to finish up with Brock Purdy. I think that he's still available in over 75% of fantasy leagues. He was not expected to be a quarterback too because they've just run the ball so much. I think that the efficiency of the Shanahan offense has been waiting for someone like Purdy that's smart with the ball. He doesn't try to do too much. So I think that he really fits their system well, and he's going to continue to show fantasy relevance. This is not a starting quarterback to next week, but I think that this is a guy that we can pick up and hold on to. Everyone's going to be telling you that you need to get Puka Nacua and Tutu Atwell from the Rams, but we only know that they're going to be good until Cooper Kupp gets back. And honestly, before then, even only one of them is only going to truly have value every week. Puka Nacua is the younger guy, so he exploded last week. I would really love to see Tutu Atwell get involved this week. Roschon Johnson from the Bears is my last one. I think that this guy, he had more carries than Herbert. Part of that was that he didn't touch the field until the second half. But whenever he did touch the field, he got a lot of carries and a lot of targets. It looks like he might be that dual position. And the fact that they were giving him a bunch of looks means that they want this guy to be involved in the offense right away. Do Do you guys have anything else to add?
Besides the Bears kind of taking a poo-poo on the game, like everybody was pretty hype about the Bears going into the season, and they just let us down. Packers didn't though.
No, I don't think people expected anything from the Packers, which was silly. They've got Matt LaFleur, who is a San Francisco head coach, runs a San Francisco style offense, so it's going to be good and efficient. And Aaron Jones, look what he did for the last 2 years. Like, yeah, he had Aaron Rodgers, but he's a running back. He doesn't get his value from the guy throwing him the ball. He gets it from everything he does.
He was having the best game in the day for all running backs until he got hurt. So
I think he did have the best day for running backs.
Damn,
in
nice.
all my leagues, at least, like in full point and half point PPRs, he was the best.
Yeah, it just sucks that he just got injured on that big long run.
It looks like it was he pulled his hamstring a little bit. So like he should be fine. I watched a YouTube video. Shout out Fantasy Doctor on YouTube. If you don't watch him, gives great information on injuries. And he talked about the injury for everything from from yesterday, and he said that it probably shouldn't be a big deal for Aaron Jones at this point. We
should be worrisome on like whether or not the Packers look so good because of how bad the Bears defense is, or do the Packers just really look this good and this offense going to be this efficient? Because they didn't even have Christian Watson out there, and Jordan Love did amazing. So once they get him added back, I could see them taking off.
Hunter Henry surprised a lot yesterday. I think he was the number one fantasy tight end.
Can't believe people forgot about him.
Yeah.
Like nobody's
it's
mentioned
not that
him.
they forgot about him, it's that they forgot they think that Mac Jones isn't going to ever throw the ball. The guy had 24 fantasy points yesterday. He looked like a solid guy if you need a quarterback. I mean, he's someone that's worth picking up. Ramondre Stevenson was sick. So their game plan changed from what it normally is, and they still lost the game. And they were down almost the whole time. So there was a lot of things that forced them to have to throw the ball. They're not going to do that if they're up. Still, Hunter Henry looks like a guy that they're going to target in the end zone, and we know how good he is.
That's pretty scary how close of a game that was without Ramondre Stevenson playing then.
He played. He was sick.
Gotcha, but to his full, capability.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He still had just 6 receptions for 64 yards.
He was solid.
Now it's
he ended up with
2.1 yards
points
per carry is what you don't want to see, but
exactly.
Yeah.
Tyler Algier, that boy kind of popped off on the goal line.
If Tyler Algier is available in any league, I mean, he should have been drafted 100%. We knew that Bijan was a top pick, but I think this is a perfect opportunity for us to segue into top dogs. My top dog is Tyler Algier. I think that everyone that drafted Bijan at number 5 to 7 overall and then didn't get Tyler Algier in the 10th or 11th round, crazy. You guys are crazy. You don't understand running backs. If Tyler Algier is playing in the type of scope that he was yesterday, then he's about to give somebody else a lot of value.
Let me talk for the people for a second. It's hard to roster all these freaking handcuffs when you got bye weeks and stuff. You only have so many roster slots you're working with, so you got to get running backs on other teams so you can work with bye weeks. So it's hard to maneuver like that,
I don't
can't
care
get
about bye
both
weeks
handcuffs for
until
both the
that
running
week.
backs you get.
I think about bye weeks the week before. I think that trying to set up your whole season on I can't have these bye weeks and whatnot, just drop whoever your worst player is and pick up somebody to fill that position that week. If that player that's your worst player you can't drop, then don't even drop anybody. You're probably going to win the whole league anyways. If your best player is so good that you can't drop them because of a bye week, your worst player, then you just won the whole league. Don't worry about it.
Well, that's what sucks about drafting depth in the middle of those rounds like that. You sometimes need to draft players that you're willing to drop, because it sucks when you're holding on to these players looking for that value in the future.
So I think that that's a really big misconception that these depth guys that we're drafting, I'm ready to drop every one of the guys that I drafted from round 9 onward within the first 3 weeks. Every one of them is trying out for my team because I know that those 6 roster spots, people like Kenneth Gainwell and Puku Nacua. Puku Nacua is available in 90% of fantasy leagues.
I've never heard of this guy.
Thank you. Nobody knew who this guy was really before the season started. Rashid Shaheed is available in 85% plus in fantasy leagues. So these guys are the reason that I'm totally okay with dropping the bottom 3 on my team, because all of those guys have shown me already that they have more potential. The most important thing for me is looking at how many targets my players get. If I can get a receiver to have 8 and a running back to have 5 targets and average at least 5 to 10 yards per target, then we've got a winner. I think that I gave my top dog, though. Tyler Algier showed up for the homies this week, helped Atlanta get a victory over the number 1 pick. What do you guys got?
That cheetah. That boy took the fuck off. He really did. And he's going to continue to do so. So, watch out, y'all Finiacs.
I mean, he was the number 1 fantasy receiver on the week. If you didn't take him at the
knew,
3rd pick, you were crazy.
I told
like
you.
Jamar Chase,
that's where
I
you
feel
need
like
to take him.
Still was a safer 2nd pick. Not a lot.
Not week 1, based off stats.
But because T. Higgins and Jalen Waddle are so vastly different in like how much they're going to draw away from the star player of their team, I think that Jalen Waddle draws so much more. That's why you have to take Tyreek a pick later. But if you didn't take him at 3, I mean, I only have Tyreek in 1 league. I got 2 in 1 league, and
not together though, huh?
Not together. Justin did that one. How did that feel, Justin?
Oh, it was great. It was great.
Did you get a little victory from that?
I have a Tua Tyreek stack in my Dynasty League, and I've got a Tua Waddle stack in another league. It's a great time.
Yeah, that's 70 points for the people that weren't counting. 70 points. Whew.
That was a lot of fucking passing yards.
Yeah. A lot of receiving yards. 215, man. The guy is he's gonna hit 2,000 this year. I'm convinced of it. If he stays
Shout
healthy.
out. Your boy knew he was gonna be the highest passing quarterback on the day. I mean, we had Patrick Mahomes play on Thursday. We had Aaron Rodgers playing on Monday. It was just like, who else is gonna beat this man? As long as
Nobody
he stays healthy.
Got close. Nobody even
466 yards is ridiculous. And he wasn't even close to Dan Marino's record, which is mind-boggling.
All right, Justin, top dog for the week. Who you got?
I got to give it to Jordan Love. I loved what I saw out of him in the game.
Ooh,
I loved what he was. I did. No pun intended on that. Like, absolutely. Like, I mean, you're looking at Aaron Jones obviously he got injured, but he still only ended up with 9 carries. AJ Dillon had 13 carries, but for 19 yards. So
yeah, he looked real
after
bad.
that, the run game was just not effective. So for me, your first game starting at your first game post Aaron Rodgers, all the pressure's on you. You're playing the Bears in Chicago, where Rodgers has dominated.
And told them how much he owns them for the last couple years.
So for me, everything on top of that, like I absolutely give it to Jordan Love. Like the dude just absolutely went in there, looked poised, looked in command of the offense. And I mean, you don't want to get ahead of yourself here, but it's like, Jesus Christ, like are the Packers going to have another 10 to 15 years of great quarterback play? Like I know it's week 1 and it's all overreactions, but
like I said, the Bears
after what
defense.
you see there, it's just like I hope it's the Bears because I'll be damned if the Packers just get another 15 years.
Oh, you're telling this guy
back to back.
You're telling this guy,
like what the heck?
Yeah, that would be insane.
That's the Patriots of the AFC over here, bro.
Aaron Rodgers has a walking boot on.
Oh, he'll be fine.
So close runner-up would be Anthony Richardson. If they would have won that game, he would have had to be my top dog. That man played out of his mind.
So Anthony Richardson, fantasy-wise, was unbelievable, but he 100% lost the game for his team. We were talking about it in a group chat that Anthony Richardson looked so good, and come third quarter, everyone was like, "Man, is this guy just gonna Lamar it this year?" And my only response was, He's a rookie. He's going to make mistakes. So, let him make some mistakes before we just make this guy goated first. And he threw the pick, which ended the game. That pick was a game over from then on. I think that he's going to be special. And honestly, his injury, by the way, I have him in my Dynasty League, so pretty invested in Anthony Richardson. Injury looks like not a big deal. It's a bone bruise on his knee. It's not as severe as Travis Kelce's injury, even in the slightest. And Kelce might be back this week as well.
That's actually wild. But yeah, I just loved what I saw from AR-15. He looked crisp, and except for that last drive. But like other than that, I thought he had the game. You know, the way that they were just driving down the field and not, giving up. I like to see that.
Now,
he was one of those that came in like quote unquote as advertised.
Exactly.
Like he made the typical rookie mistakes I expected to see, but he also, like with his athleticism, made some of the plays I expected to see as well, to where for me as a coach and as a fan, it's honestly like nothing but optimistic for you, just because it's kind of just, okay, let's build on this. Like it was a good performance for him. Now, I do think he's going to get a talking to, and he's going to learn like, hey, maybe not dive head first. Yeah, like we need you out here. Like, this isn't Florida where you're just trying to get like an extra
three defenders that he just threw his shoulder into.
The thing is when you get that low, like your only goal there is to throw your shoulder and land. Like you're not fighting to go to the end zone. Now, if you try to stay up for that, that's different. But yeah, I mean, like you said, you just got to be smart there, and he'll learn.
We're a quarterback. We don't need to get a couple more. We just need to get a touchdown. If it's not a touchdown, it's not worth it. I agree. He will go in.
Now, I don't mean to transfer over to college, but do y'all see the Alabama quarterback? He looks exactly like Anthony Richardson, play style wise.
Nice.
And it's nice to see Alabama have a quarterback like that. Yeah, number 4, Milrow.
He's a scrambler. It's wild to see, like because even when Jalen Hurts was there, he didn't scramble so much. But Milrow, he's got some wheels on him.
Yeah.
Now,
good comparison, AR-15.
Did you guys see any porch puppies? Anybody just sitting on the porch watching all the big dogs go out there and eat this week?
The entire Pittsburgh Steelers team.
They were just
aside from TJ Watt.
Well, and Muth. Muth got a touchdown.
The Muth was loose.
He did his job.
The Muth was loose.
Okay,
he did his job.
Good
there
job.
we
you
go.
Got points on the board. The Steelers had 3 sacks as a team. TJ Watt had all 3. You take him out of the game, they're even worse, and that's insane.
He had a forced fumble too. You're forgetting he also had a forced fumble.
Exactly, dude. He's such a game wrecker. So, the entire Pittsburgh Steelers, as much as they were hyped up this offseason, and for whatever reason, they just started getting hyped up. And
it was the preseason games and all the clips coming out of Pickens and everything.
Just came out
and Darnell Washington blocked
Joy Porter
to the next county.
Oh, yeah.
They got dominated.
Yeah, I don't know if that'll happen every week. I think we got to take that with a grain of salt. They played the 49ers. We don't really know what the 49ers are with Brock Purdy coming in. We don't have that much film on him. We know they have a great defense, so it's just like that. I can't really say I'm out on the Steelers yet for the season. Like, I think they still have what it takes. It's nice to see. We got to see it. But Deontay Johnson getting hurt was not good for them.
Not at all. Allen Robinson's a big pickup because of Deontay Johnson going down.
They just picked him up?
With him. No, he was already on the team. Nobody cared about Robinson because he obviously doesn't want to play football anymore after the Rams.
Just paychecks.
Exactly. But mine is also not just one player. I think that the entire Falcons receiving core, Pitts and Drake London specifically, but like, dude, I mean, we knew Desmond Ridder wasn't going to be throwing the ball a lot, but we got to get open. Like, these guys didn't even... I think we had 1 target and 1 catch on Pitts and 0 receptions for Drake London. Everyone knew that Bijan was going to be the guy. That's why he was taken at 7. They knew that they were going to run the offense through him and that Algier would probably get some value, but Drake London should still exist in a fantasy relevancy. Michael Pittman looked amazing in the exact same type of situation. The exact same situation, and he ran a screen for a touchdown. So,
well, that's my thing. Your 2 best pass catchers, and there's 4 targets between the 2 of them. Like you said, London 1 target, 0 catches. Kyle Pitts 3 targets, 2 catches, 44 yards. Like Kyle Pitts alone, where they drafted him, like how does he not get used more? Now, I put a lot on that too of the play calling and Desmond Ridder. Like you complete 15 passes for only 115 yards.
That's 10.
Like, what are we
That's
doing here?
Not barely over 10.
He went
under
15
10.
of 18, so his overall rating was 111.8, but his QBR, the one that matters, 28.9. Like, he was irrelevant. Your
Now,
punter
they were
throwing a
up
40-yard
the whole
pass
game,
on a
weren't
fake
they?
punt would be more effective than what Desmond Ridder gave you.
Weren't they up the whole game?
Now, yes, they were able to lean
So-
on the run.
But
I mean,
still play
26
action.
total
I mean,
carries.
dude, you still
I know.
throw the ball. You still throw the ball. So that
Yeah, but he's
just to keep
also-
the defense honest.
It's also kind of like a
9
rookie
receptions to the
quarterback. I
running
told you
backs.
this with Ridder.
That's check
We haven't
down
seen.
city.
Yes.
We
9
haven't
to
seen
the
much
running
of Ridder.
backs and only 3 between their best 2 receivers.
Yeah, it's insane actually.
It's
That's what I told you about. Like it's how do you know if Bijan's going to be that dude if we don't know what the Falcons' offense can produce? So like dynasty wise, Bijan's that dude, but like who knows what the Falcons can do? And Bijan showed us that it doesn't matter. You know, he's going to get his no matter what. He is an anomaly.
So I'm going to write down on a piece of paper what I think Austin's porch puppy is, and then we'll see if I guessed it right.
Shit, Austin don't even know his porch puppy.
Well, let's get it.
I'm gonna have to say them fucking New Jersey Giants not
Wow.
showing up.
Yeah, that's
Showing up.
that's another one where you can pick the whole team. Yep, there you go.
Saquon Barkley, Darren Waller. Where was Jalen Hylett? You ain't doing nothing all game. Throw a deep ball to Jalen Hylett. Come
Hey,
on.
The
I
only
just
player
needed
that showed up was
Saquon-
Darren Waller. Waller
I
at
needed
least looked like
Saquon
he
to
was
get
trying.
me 50,
He
50
got
yards.
stripped.
He got me 51. So
I didn't
Saquon
watch
did
the
what I
second
needed
half
to.
of that game because I couldn't. I
His-
stayed up the night before smoking a pork butt and had to get some sleep whenever it looked like it was going to be a blowout. So I didn't see the second half. But Darren Waller looked like he was at least trying in the first half.
He had the best catch for the Giants, and then it got stripped by Trayvon Diggs. So that was nice. It was a really defensive game for them. Like the Cowboys' offense couldn't even come on the field and do anything because of how many defensive scores were going on. It was ridiculous. There's a little bit of rain on the field.
Diggs, he just scored a touchdown. The Bills are now.
Is that what John McEnroe perfectly
the
predicted?
pocket.
That's funny.
We need that money in the pocket because A-Rod is out.
Yeah, A-Rod
That
is
fucks
out for
up
the game, but
everything for
X-rays were
everyone.
negative. So hopefully it's just a few weeks for him because that would just be devastating.
So, definitely some disappointments. They call it Overreaction Monday for a reason. Yesterday did not exist. It didn't matter. Don't blow up your fantasy team and decide to pick all new people because of what happened yesterday. Just start to pick up on some of the trends that are happening over the next couple weeks. Right into that. Tua, Tyreek Hill. I mean, the best performance. They look like the best receiving quarterback duo in the league. Pretty much
Almost
everyone that
history.
was negative against them all offseason did nothing but pull their pants down all day today. So it's great to see. The media only loves the Dolphins when they're awesome and then loves to hate them when they're not.
What team? What team?
Now,
do they not,
I will
though?
say this offseason, I did
never
notice
hate
the
on the
shift
Cowboys.
from the
Nobody
media.
does.
I did notice the shift this offseason from the media to where it wasn't necessarily anymore on Tua's talent or if they can get it done with Tua. It was more
injuries.
just, can he stay healthy? Which that's on everybody's mind. But
And it's every player in the NFL.
and
Aaron Rodgers just
honestly,
got hurt on the
I
first drive.
didn't want to pick another one from that game for my top dog because Austin already picked Tyreek. And if I didn't, I wasn't going to pick Tua. I was going to pick that Dolphins offensive line. With Teron Armstead being out and Tua didn't get sacked one time, with Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack out there, the dude barely got touched. That for me was just that was
I
the
want to
best
say he
thing
got
to see.
hurried less than 5 times, and he didn't get a quarterback hit the entire game.
What was really interesting though was seeing when you guys would hand the ball off, it looked like you had no offensive line on the field. But then when you went to do a pass play, it was like you had the greatest offensive line in front of you because he had all the time in the world.
It's not the
it
greatest
was
front.
very
It wasn't all the
interesting
time
to
in the
see, though.
world. He got the ball out super quick every time.
And he does that.
I mean,
it's
it
nice
was-
to see
he knew
how
right
He hits his back
efficient he
foot
really
and that
was.
ball's coming out now. And then you have those plays too, though, where the play on 3rd down, 3rd and 10 at the end of the game when he rolled out to his left and hit Braxton Berrios right at the sticks, or the play that got shown all day today where he steps up in the pocket, Khalil Mack is beaming down on his backside, and he just launches a 47-yard pass to Tyreek down the side. Like, it was honestly, like, these are times, though, to where I wish I wasn't a fan of a specific team like I am, because it's like I want to give Tua all of the flowers without seeming completely biased, because like the stats show it. He had the best performance of the weekend of week 1 by far from a quarterback's perspective.
He showed why football is fun.
And exactly, and it's one of those too, to where after so much of him getting shit on over the first couple years too, to where even if I didn't like him, I would be forced to root for him, because you just want to see him succeed.
Underdog story.
The Dolphins are so fun to watch with him in there, though, because they're never out of it. They can score in 5 seconds. You had 9 seconds on the clock, went down the field and got a field goal before the half. That ended up being the difference maker in the game.
He throws a pick, and on his next offensive play, he throws a 40-yard bomb to Tyreek.
That's been his whole career, bro.
Tyreek
had the guy.
Tua
is an elite god.
Yes, Tyreek had the guy beat after 5 yards. After 5 yards, Tyreek was a yard behind him. Like, so he just launched it. From that point, he was like, "Oh, he's got him." I mean, I think that last year you didn't see Tua do that. That was the difference. That's where this year he's going to be able to shoot for 50 touchdowns. He's going to be able to shoot for 350 yards a game. Like, it's not just sometimes it'll happen. He's going to just throw and pull the trigger.
He's on pace for like 7,500 yards right now. And
we
Tyreek's on pace for like 3,000. So there's that.
He's only shooting for 2,000. We got to talk about that catch in the end zone, though, by Tyreek from Tua. I mean, that ball was the most perfect place ball I've yet to see this season. I mean, I know it just started, but goddamn.
You couldn't walk up and hand it to him better.
That was insane.
Like, right over the helmet, literally dropped right in. Honestly, it looked like Tyreek just reacted and didn't even realize the ball was going to.
Exactly.
He just trusted. He just trusted. I know if I turn around and put my hands out, this ball is going to hit me here. Like, that pass was insane. The probability, I think, next gen stat wise, of him completing that pass was like 2.9%.
So
like, he should not have completed that pass.
The defender was all over the place.
Chris Sims today said, "You don't throw that ball in the end zone unless you throw it like that. Like, you don't throw that pass ever, because that gets picked 7 times out of 10. Like, it's just such a high percentage
to a
interception.
5'10" wide receiver.
To a 5'10".
You threw a goal line fade to a 5'10" wide receiver, and it wasn't back shoulder.
Nope.
You just said, "I'm gonna dump it over this guy's helmet real quick. He's not even gonna know what happened." It was awesome.
The second best receiver on the day was definitely Brandon Ayuk. Him and Brock Purdy seemed to have a bit of a connection. Now, a little pickoff for the Bills right there. What was that? Milano? Of course it is. Of course it is.
Penalty. He had to get up and chirp at Zach Will.
Yep. Well, he don't care about that.
Milano's dirty. I said it.
He is. Brock Purdy, Brandon Ayuk, great combination. They looked like it was starting last year, the couple games that Deebo Samuel missed. But I mean, with him being even with both of them being in, Deebo did not look like a target compared to Ayuk. And Ayuk seems like he's developed into that like number one receiver ability. He can play the outside role perfectly.
Now, I need to know between the three of us, or maybe it was Sut when we had him on the pod periodically, who was hating on Ayuk constantly? They just did not like Brandon.
Not me. I love Ayuk.
And that makes sense, because Sut said in one of our group chats today that I can't hate on him anymore. I love this guy. Like,
so
and
it was Sut then. So it must have been if you're watching, like you can't. You can't. I believe I tried to tell you, like, Ayuk's got the skills.
I tried to give him Brandon Ayuk. All he had to do was give me David Montgomery before the game started. Like, on Saturday, I need David Montgomery. Brandon Ayuk's my 5th best receiver even after yesterday. So I'm straight with giving up him, but not for David Montgomery
Not
anymore.
now.
I might need a little bit more.
Not
you know
now.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I might
Yeah,
need, you know,
throw
who's
something
your
else with that beast.
Hey, let me get
Where's
Saquon, dog.
where's
you know what I'm
Bijan
saying?
at?
What,
Where's
what,
Bijan?
Well,
what does Kevin Costner say in draft day? It's we live in a different world than we did 10 minutes ago. Like that's what it is.
That's
straight
actually
up.
crazy. Like after week 1, like the value of these players just
But
skyrocket.
then you watch, he goes out next week, has 3
3
catches for
points.
27 yards, and his bloop. But that's
So,
fantasy for you.
I'm glad that you made that point. And before we talk too much more about how awesome Brandon Ayuk and Brock Purdy are, that's a good point. There's players like that. Mike Evans is my player that if I have him rostered on my team this year, which I don't, duh. I'm waiting for him to have a 2 or 3 touchdown game, and then I am actively trading him that week. Before he can put up another game, another stat line, I want him gone because I know that's the best outing he's going to get. When Justin Jefferson puts up 225 yards and 2 touchdowns this year, that's not necessarily his best outing. He can still do better than that. That's the type of player he is. So whenever I have a player that does outperform, now Brandon Ayuk is not quite that. He's still young enough that this could be a trend for him. I'm not trying to trade him. I'm actually going to hold on to him in the dynasty and wait and see after 3 weeks if he's that big of a part of the offense. I'll be able to get way more than a David Montgomery. I'll get a starting running back, and at that point, my team will be
Which
legit.
is what you
so
need.
if you're listening and you play for the dynasty, don't give me a starting running back because then you guys are all screwed.
So you figure Purdy threw 29 passes, right? And his top 4 targets were McCaffrey, Kittle, Debo, and Ayuk. Getting McCaffrey 5 targets, Kittle 6 targets, Debo 7, Ayuk 8. I don't
Spread
see
it
any
around
reason why
perfectly.
something within those ranges don't continue week to week. Now,
Yeah,
whether
they should.
somebody else is going to be in the top that week for targets,
Whoever
just
gets
depends
the
on
2
game plan.
touchdowns or who gets the bigger play, like that could be Debo
But I
next
think
week.
that target share won't change very much to where you can rely on Ayuk as a at minimum flex every single week.
I think
at
wide
minimum.
receiver 2. If he put up 8
Yeah.
8 targets is my baseline for a wide receiver 2. That's what I'm looking for. Wide receiver 1 or 2, you need 8 targets a week. So that's, I mean, again, it's like I was saying, I want to see it next week. I want to see it the week after. By the time bye weeks start happening, then I'm making full on decisions on these guys.
I think he'll get a solid like 15 points next week, but I don't think he's gonna blow up just because
so?
he already just blew up. Like that's just how football is. They're gonna make it the next week another guy. Like it could be
They've
Christian
got the
McCaffrey they're
Rams.
forcing or Debo or
Rams
even
are
Kittle.
decent defense, man.
Kyle Shanahan absolutely.
I could see Kittle getting a lot of work in that game,
Sean McVay.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
he's got his
McVay
number.
cannot beat Kyle Shanahan.
That means, bro, the Rams are really surprising this year. I mean, they came out and beat the
they were
Seahawks.
surprising
They're gonna
last week.
Kyle Shanahan's
I
just
said
going
this
to
year.
have one coach in every single team that's one of his coaches so that he just never loses another game. Because I don't think that he's lost to the Packers, and I know that he beat us last year for the Dolphins. So I wonder if he's undefeated against his, like, coaching tree. You know,
I'm pretty
Saleh,
sure he is. I think it's like
Yeah.
becoming the Saban thing to where it's like
Yeah.
his proteges just can't beat him.
Which
That's
Saban
funny.
said
I
he
love
doesn't even
that.
care about that. He doesn't
Oh,
care
he
playing his
cares.
other coaches.
Oh,
he
he
said
cares.
with his
Yeah, he
own
does.
words, his own mouth.
Yeah, I don't. He's a liar.
he
he said he
also
was going to
said he
head
was
coach for
never
the Dolphins
take-
for a year.
Yeah, I'm
And then-
not
1 year.
taking the Alabama job.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
what he said with his
4
words,
days
with
later,
his mouth. He
he's
said
packing
that,
his
Austin.
bags. Yeah,
So,
don't
I
tell
don't
me
believe a
what Nick
word he
Saban
says.
said. Oh, he said
All right, let's
this.
take it
Yeah.
down.
Sorry,
Sorry.
you
Well,
touched a nerve.
if you want to get more insight on
We
Nick
both got
Saban.
pretty upset real quick right there.
You touched
That
a
wasn't
nerve.
planned. That
What is-
was
what
not
did the-
planned.
What did the kids say? Triggered.
I'm triggered.
So there are 2 defenses that look completely legit. The first one put up a shutout, 40-0 on Sunday Night Football. They've got potential defensive player of the year. You guys both picked him. Love you seeing you walk that jersey because that guy took over the game as well.
It was interesting to see at the beginning whether or not he was going to be able to do that from the position he's playing, but it was insane how quick he was into the backfield and how disruptive he was. Like, I feel bad for every team that they're going to play this year if he's healthy.
Daniel Jones was running around like a chicken with his head cut off. He had nowhere to go. So it's going to
felt
be
bad
a
for him.
terrifying. I kind of did
My
for a
thing,
second.
my whole thing with the Giants is, and I kept thinking this as I was watching the game last night. You had an entire offseason coming off of a playoff berth and a playoff win to prepare for one team, your biggest division rival,
And you can't put
on
up one
Sunday night
3
football.
points.
And you come out
Couldn't
and
get
not
past the
even
50.
that, just the entire performance on both sides. That's what all three levels, special teams included. Like, that's what you put on the field. Like,
There's got to be at least one drive you can put together.
I do think it's one of those things to where, and I mentioned it a lot last season with the Vikings and the Giants. Watch them this year. They won so many one-possession games last year to where things fell their way. And I told you last season, the Vikings record was a complete fluke. Like, them winning 13 games was
I can't
a lot
believe
of
the
that
Bucks
was luck.
beat them. Like, the Bucks, like,
Baker,
Baker Mayfield,
yeah,
and
but
the
I'm saying
Bucks
watch both
just
of
beat
them
them.
this
He's
year. I think
re-energized over there.
we're, what is it? 40% of teams that make the playoffs don't make it the next season.
Every
They're
year.
going to be
Every
two of
year.
those. There'll be two of those teams looking out. Hell, the Packers looked worlds better than the Vikings did yesterday.
Yes.
And that's something I wanted to bring up was like the Vikings look like they might be the worst team in their division.
The Bears.
Well,
are
the
pretty
Bears.
nice.
I
And
know
then-
that the Bears, but it's also week one. We're like overreacting. The Bears we're supposed to be like that team in their division. Besides
Well, the
the
Bears
Lions,
are supposed to have a
Because of
decent
Justin
defense
Fields.
and a really good offense. And
Now, you just mentioned his name. From that fantasy perspective, from where he was getting drafted and stuff in fantasy drafts this year, how disappointing was Justin Fields yesterday?
pretty disappointing. I mean, like all the expectation out the window.
I
Like,
think
he
Darnell
did try
Mooney
to throw
is the
from the
only
pocket a
player
little
that,
more,
like,
but I
he
mean,
had a
DJ
good
Moore
game.
didn't get none.
Nah, he only had like 5.4 points. I have him in
And
the league.
Cole
on the
Kmet
bench.
was still seeing targets, but none in the end zone.
yeah, I
Nope.
mean, it was
It's like the
abysmal.
same
So
team as
for
last
me,
year.
I think the Bears are still looking at the cellar, but like the Packers, if you're going off just week one overreactions, I don't know if
mean-
they finished third. For me, the Vikings thing was their running game was absolutely ghosted, and their defense still sucks. Now, is Brian Flores his first year with the team and the squad, so he's still got to have time to galvanize them and get the troops ready. But if you don't have the players, you don't have the players.
How about the Lions taking out the fucking Chiefs, Super Bowl champ Chiefs?
Lions look good. That's what you wanted to see. I mean, we talked about it all offseason with Dan Campbell and biting kneecaps off and stuff like that. And you come out there, Super Bowl champs, week one, Thursday night football, and all phases for them did what they needed to. You held the Chiefs to 20 points. Like, your
That's
offense only
insane in
scored
itself.
21, but you held the Chiefs to 20.
Now,
Kadarius Toney not catching anything, that was kind of an anomaly. Like we've never seen anything like that happen. But like
it was Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore. They both looked just absolute horse.
I hate the
I
dog
mean,
on them because it's week
Rasheed
one. Like
Rice
can't
at
overreact,
least
but like
caught that touchdown, and he was able to catch a ball. Like, these guys were targeted and targeted and targeted. Hit him in the hands. They have the best quarterback in football. And if they can't get on his page, I mean, what are you doing? There's a reason that Mecole Hardman left. And it's because he wasn't capable of playing at the level that they needed. And I don't think that these guys are either. Sky Moore was someone I was saying before the game. Maybe you should start this guy. Look at him. Who else are they going to throw the ball to? But I'm terrified of
Casper.
ever putting him in a roster. Ever.
Looking ahead to next week with how that played out, I would go ahead and start betting Travis Kelce over on his yardage, bet an anytime touchdown for Travis Kelce, bet him over on
Always.
his receptions. Like, Kelsey's going to come out next week with 12 catches for 120 yards and at least one touchdown. Like, you watch.
Just because he's
There's
going to
a
be the only
reason
guy that's open.
Well, there's not even that, but there's a reason he gets the targets he does, that trust factor there. And you saw it. Mahomes does not have that with any other pass catcher on his team.
Nope.
And
It's
that's what
sad.
happens when you pay
His
a
tight
handful of
ends
players as much
Did
as you're
so
paying
much
them.
better. Both of the other tight ends did better than all the receivers combined. Like,
I thought it would be an advantage not knowing who he's gonna throw that ball to, but it's not whenever they can't catch the ball. Like,
Now we already talked about how Aaron Jones, looked legit. He's a little bit injured, but he should be fine. Keep an eye out. You'll know by Friday if he's going to be playing this week. Jordan
I
Love
think
as
he
well.
was the best pickup in those later rounds, like round 3 or 4, that you could get for a running back.
I mean, he was the #1 running back this week.
People
and you
slept
got
on
in
him
the third
because
or fourth
they didn't
round.
know what the Packers offense would
Sometimes
bring
fourth
with
and
Jordan
fifth
Love.
round, dude. Like he was going late. So San Francisco D, they embarrassed Pittsburgh, and maybe it's Pittsburgh, but I don't think so. I think that their defense is legitimately goated. I think that they're going to be the best defense in football, and I think that they're my pick to make it to the Super Bowl. I know Austin doesn't want to hear that, but it's going to be hard to stop them. The Cowboys look better on paper.
Like I was saying
I just want to
earlier.
see them. Like I want to see CeeDee Lamb and Tony Pollard completely take over games.
And they didn't have to last game, so we didn't see that juice. But like I was saying earlier in the podcast, we'll see what the 49ers are week 5 and 6. After every team has been able to see what Brock Purdy is going to be coming out with, you don't know what he's coming to do whenever he steps on the field. We only have such a small sample size of him, and it really does play into factor like for these teams. You see whenever a rookie quarterback goes out there and is able to produce.
8 weeks of game tape on Brock Purdy, and for me, I think it's a matter of the 49ers versus either the Cowboys or the Eagles in the NFC Championship. Like, that's the only outcome I see coming from that.
Don't count out the Lions. That's the top 4 teams right there.
Yeah, you get to the playoffs, anything can happen. But when that Lions defense is, or not Lions, but sorry, the 49ers defense is legit. Like,
they really are.
Fred Warner
on all 3 levels, dude.
That dude comes out to not necessarily hurt people, but he wants to let it be known like he's hitting you.
I just think that
he's got such soft hands. Like he's receiving the ball so well and covering like a beast. Eric Kendricks is the only linebacker I like in coverage more than Fred Warner.
No knock on their D. I think they have a great defense. I just think that the Cowboys this year are just one step above with adding Stephon Gilmore. Like, we are elite on the outsides. We are elite in the middle. Like, there's not one spot. I mean, Bland in the safety spot is just getting picks. Like, this dude had 6 picks last year. It's ridiculous what this defense is. I'm really hoping to see them this year. Like, in person.
So we already kind of talked about the Bengals not showing up. I don't think we need to really cover that anymore. You guys want to
wait for next week
and then wrap it up?
Yeah, next week, this Thursday night game.
So this Thursday, we're looking at Vikings Eagles. Vikings are playing at not 1:00, so
Cousins in prime time, baby.
Don't expect too much from Kirk. Maybe he breaks the curse this week, but I doubt
Eagles are, as of right now, a 7.5
Why
point
is
spread.
Josh Allen going airborne?
It's Josh Allen.
So, with how the Eagles played the Patriots last week, I'm not too confident with them covering this spread. The Vikings defense does look like shit.
What's the spread? No, the Vikings defense is
7.5.
No, they're not decent at all.
They're covering.
You say that, but like,
horrible. They're horrible.
I know
Defense.
I get that, but they also have
Like,
an
maybe
offense
one
that
of the
could
worst.
surprise you.
Yeah.
So you think Slayton's gonna just shut down Jefferson again, like how it was last year?
I think that Slay. I don't think that Slay shuts them down. I think that the Eagles' defense is still in playoff potential. Like, they looked legit. I mean, the pick six wasn't 100% on the defense. That was kind of on the offense. If we're being real.
Tipped it up to him.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not like everything was them, but bro, they look legit still. I don't think that I would shake my tail at them or anything. 7.5 seems a bit high. I might wait until Wednesday and see if they can drop that down to 6.5.
So yeah.
Because if I'll take 7, they're gonna win by a touchdown. I don't think that the game stays close. I mean, okay, let's. If the Bucks were playing against the Eagles this week, what do you think's happening? The Bucks are getting destroyed.
Well, I mean, the Bucks actually do have a solid defense and a quarterback who we haven't seen film on this team. He's putting the ball out there to Godwin and Evans perfectly. Baker did well, bro. Like, it's hard to compare him to the Bucks because we don't really know what the Bucks are yet.
So if you have Alexander Madison, Hawkinson, Justin Jefferson, obviously you're starting them. Where
Yeah.
you drafted these guys, there's no other option. Are you
Maybe
starting Jordan
Kirko.
Addison
Yeah,
in the flex
that's
after
a
what you
that's
saw
a
last
pretty
week?
good, especially because of what fantasy was last week in the 1 o'clock games, and there wasn't much points being produced. Like I think everyone can agree with like everyone's teams looked weird with the fantasy
All
points
right,
this year.
I got one
My
for
thing,
you. I
I'd
got one.
start
I
You
got a
him.
can start
question.
Addison.
Romeo Dubs or Jordan Addison?
Is Christian Watson playing?
No, he's still probably going to be out.
Then Romeo Dubs because he's the number 1 receiver on the team.
Okay.
Dobbs.
Is it Dobbs? I thought it was Dubs. I don't know.
I thought it was.
I didn't listen to the game yesterday, so I didn't hear them call him out his name. Okay. So I mean, I think that for me, Jordan Addison's a start on the Eagles side.
It's definitely someone you love to see because like I'm really high on him. I drafted him on every league I could, and so like it was great to see like that pay off for me. Him actually do what we were expecting him to do because he's going against like he's the second receiver with the number 1 receiver in the league. So like just think about how much he's gonna take away from, and he's gonna be so open.
All right, I got another one for you guys. So you got a player like Muth on your bench, and then you got Goddard. Are you playing Goddard this week after putting up the goose egg?
Goose egg. I would go with Muth just because I know what Muth is going to give us. Watching the Eagles' offense last week or this past week was kind of alarming. Like I didn't really see
They
them
were playing
like
the Patriots. The Patriots have always had a good defense.
it's like playing a hybrid defense. Like you never know what you're gonna get.
So the Patriots are known for doing one thing. They always take away whatever your biggest weapon is. Jalen Hurts is the biggest weapon for the Eagles. So I think taking away his run ability and forcing him to not make the passes that he wants is exactly what they did, and they shut him down pretty solidly.
Did you see that hit on him when he fumbled
Nah.
the ball? Bro,
No.
he got lifted into the air and just chucked and fumbled on the play. Like it was one of the biggest hit sticks of the day.
So I think Kenneth Gainwell, if I have the option, I'm going to play him in the flex. I have other players that I want to play above him, but like if I have somebody like a Van Jefferson, somebody that didn't really perform for me last week, instead of putting one of these waiver wire guys on my flex, I'm probably going to go ahead and put Kenneth Gainwell. He's their starter. He catches the ball. He's just going to be really a big part of their offense this year, even with them having DeAndre Swift, and until DeAndre Swift shows that he's the number 1 guy.
Did he do anything?
Nothing. Not
Did
really.
he show up? Because like when you're talking about daily fantasy, he was really high on like the money. You had to spend a lot of money on him, and it seemed like they were gonna
he
use
wasn't
him.
worth it at all.
And whenever
A lot
you're
of
drafting
players
in
were like
fantasy, he's really down on the ADP. So it's like you can get him for free.
Ish.
So it's like, yeah. So it's
He was
like
a fifth
people
round pick.
didn't know what he's gonna be capable of. So like he didn't do anything on the Eagles side this
Now,
week
to
at
go
least.
back to what you said earlier, Austin, I wouldn't go Muth over Goddard. I think that the New England defense versus the Vikings defense, I'm not worried about Dallas Goedert being able to get open. They don't have any linebackers that are going to be able to cover him, like at all. They don't have Eric Kendricks anymore. He plays for the Chargers. So I think that Goddard's an easy start this week. I honestly am looking to try to trade for Goddard to somebody that's freaking out because of him putting up a goose egg. I'll give him Sam Laporta or somebody like that, because Sam Laporta, even though he's a starter, he's still a rookie. He's still not going to get the amount of target share that Goddard is going to be guaranteed.
Whenever I'm looking for a tight end, I like to look for like teams that have rookie quarterbacks that really have to just dump it off to their tight end and feed him
That's
like
Justin's
that.
thing.
Because
That's-
whenever you have Goddard on the Eagles, a top tier offense, like they don't need Goddard. Like they're running the ball efficient enough where they can just win every game. So like why do they need
that's
to pass
where
this ball to him unless they're
only
down, and
needs-
that's rare.
3 or 4 targets to be completed a game for him to have so much value, because he can get 30 and 40-yard chunks because Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown are on the outside. He opens up so much for you. So don't freak out. It's Overreaction Monday. If this episode's been a long one, we are normally going to do an episode every Friday to preview the next week's fantasy. We will not be able to do one this week. So keep you guys' ears out. We'll put some stuff on Twitter, and I might come out with like a quick start and sit video this week. Do a solo John. So thanks for joining us. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow everyone on Twitter. Keep on watching football and stay classy.
Shout out Toasty Roast Tea. Shout out.